So for the sake of trying to focus on positive things, because I'm a firm believer that what you think you attract, and that's just what I was taught and what I learned growing up. And so in lieu of that, I am going to focus on a completely different topic other than gang stalking, because it's so annoying. Everyone, we are all responsible, right, for our lives. We all, every moment of every day, we know we are making a conscious effort on how we choose to live our lives. That's why I kind of have no excuse for people that are criminals. And I do think that there have been people who, yes, I do think that there's a crime, 100%. How do you go about navigating cybercrime? What statutes are involved in order, how do you, I know in terms of legal jargon, there's a lot of different things with that. How do I put this in the right words? When I first started going through all this stuff, and I was like, this is way over my head, and I tried so hard to prove it. Because, just a little tidbit, when you feel like your life, for one thing, almost gets, your freedom gets robbed from you, right? Because normal, everyday people, normal humans, that's not normal where you have someone watching you 24/7. You know what I mean? That's not normal. So trying to navigate the mind jungle that comes along with feeling surveillanced, and I get it, I totally get it. A lot of people will try to paint people out as schizophrenic, delusional, but you're talking to a very intelligent young lady. Or you're not talking to, you people are watching a very, I know my shit, and I don't do that oh, I know my shit. I don't have a PhD, and I didn't get a clinical psychology doctorate from Yale, but I do know my shit. But I also know about law of attraction, and what you focus on, you attract back into your life. There's a lot of, I think, when it comes to, how do I put this? Because it's such a touchy subject, but I'm already into it, right? So, I am a victim of a crime. This is a crime. To mistreat someone so badly with what they call no-touch torture is so inhumane. And the fact that our government, or multiple governments, turn a blind eye to it, and then I have a target on my back because people, if I, right now, I did a pros and cons list of whether I should stay and go. No, I don't mean in life. I mean stay here in the city or go somewhere else. And the right thing to do would be to stay, right? Because I do consider myself a faithful person. I try to say I want to honor God, and I want to honor myself, and also follow the rules, right? And the law. It's so funny because you have people who break the law every day, right? There's people who literally are they don't give a shit about the law, and the mafia, the mobs, the cartels, whatnot. Rules don't apply to them. They have their own thing going on. I guarantee that. Everyone has their place, right, in society. And then there's me, and I'm I don't like to break the rules. I don't like to bend the rules either. And then so, when you're kind and you're good and you do the right thing and you live your life the right way, you get mistreated, and you get unfairly abused. And I know if someone says, oh, you're not being drugged and poisoned, I promise you 1,000 times over. I feel like I have a thing, something on, and if someone says, and then, so if I passed away, right, they'll probably rule it out and say that it was she had underlying medical issues. Even though I just did like a whole blood panel and it said, it didn't test for mycotoxins or heavy metals or like bacteria or stuff like that. It just tested like in general. So I got, it said like PCOS and thyroid issues and iron or ferritin. So I have to really like dig my heels in because I think I'm going up against a monster of a situation, because I'm bold and I'm brave as fuck, because there's so, like, I cannot believe that targeting happens. I really cannot believe it. There's so many people going through this phenomena. I'm gonna delete this word because I have the word euthanized, and I feel like that's what people are trying to do, because I feel like there's people that are like, she's never gonna live a normal life. There's always gonna be people after her, so we're doing her a disservice. No, bitch. You guys don't know my spirit. I say that respectfully. You don't know my spirit, and you have no right, whoever you are that's doing this, because I have a feeling people watch the channel that I decided to start speaking out about things. You have no right over my life. I say that respectfully. Everyone is in charge of their own being, their own soul. So if you think, whoever you are that's doing this to me, if you have a right over my body, and you're like, well, we're gonna kill you slowly, and by the grace of God, I keep coming back to life. Because every day is a battle. Every day. Like, I'm not kidding when I say that, like, I ate cereal and I felt strange from the cereal. Because if it's poison, it literally, it squeezes my heart. And also my hair's falling out. Like, I go, why do I have a hair over here, I have a hair over here? That never used to happen. And to the cops out there, y'all need to do your job. Because if you're watching my channel and you're sitting back and you're not doing shit, get up off your ass and do something about it. Stop staring at a screen and watching my life. Like, because I know that there people are. I'm very intuitive. I'm a psychic medium intuitive. So don't sit there and chastise me and say, oh, nothing's happening. Do the right fucking thing. Advocate for people. I'm not a police officer. I'm not a federal agent. So I can't go in there and walk into Congress and say, hey guys, can we all gather together to talk about this thing that's going on in America? Can we do that? Can we talk about the elephant in the room? Because there's a lot of Americans right now that are being tortured against their own will and being used for things that they should not be being used for, and losing their life over and going almost near death because some person wants answers about the afterlife, maybe, or, you know, or some people get targeted because they piss off a former, you know, lover, or, you know, they whistleblow about something at a company that needs quality improvement, you know. But you guys need to do something about it. Because this is not funny. I don't look at this as a joke. I'm not going to be humiliated in front of America when people, instead of doing something about it, people sit back and they become bystanders, which is pathetic. And no, me recording myself is not narcissism. I hate to tell the people, you know, the people that are gang stalkers are like, oh, she's in love with herself. She loves looking at herself. No, bitch, I have deranged, psychotic, sociopath, people, hackers, criminals being paid off to do illegal activities to my phone and to me. And these people have money and they make deals, as I think and ascertain. Everything, and I realize the root cause of all this is dishonesty. It's dishonesty, right? When you think about it, right? It's dishonest. Because what's happening is that I told myself, if people told the truth, right? If they told the truth about what's really going on and what happened to me, this whole thing, there would be no issue. The reason why that there's an issue is because no one is addressing the truth. And for those that are not aware of what happened to me, and again, I told myself I didn't want to talk about this because there's so many other things in life to talk about. And when I created my YouTube channel, I wanted to share about things that brought me joy, but also B, would be like, you know, a fun, thought-provoking topic of discussion for women my age or younger, or men as well. And I'm trying to live through what feels like now an assassination attempt on my life. I don't know why. I moved to the Midwest and things got 10 times worse. Go figure. And I think, because I pulled cards about it, because yes, I am a card reader. I know for people that are like, this is so weird, she's such a witch, and no, I don't do spell work. I hate to tell you people, I don't do spell work in my spare time. I don't know how to. I hate to burst your people's bubbles. I don't know how to do spell work. Only time I've ever come across spell work is when I watched the movie Hocus Pocus with Bette Midler and Sarah Jessica Parker and that lady from My Big Fat Greek Wedding. And when I went to Books and Books in Coral Gables, Florida, there's a store called Books and Books, and it's like a boutique store. And there was, right when I walked in, actually, there was a book. It looked interesting. It was like, it was in old English. And I looked through it, I was like, this is weird. And then, so I skimmed the page and I was like, I don't want to touch this. This is because everything is thought, right? Everything is your thoughts and how you feel. And, you know, you have to be mindful of that, because what you think you attract. So I don't know, you know, you do. And I mean, if I'm wrong, let me know. But for me personally, I'm like, I would never, anything that's energy manipulation, where you're trying to change the outcome of a situation by doing, I don't know how spell work works. Do you get like a bowl? Do you put buttons in the bowl or feathers? I don't know. I don't do that stuff. I read energy. It's different. And I will say that I do think for me, and I don't consider myself a psychic investigator or whatever, but what keeps coming out for me specifically is that there's some lump sum of money or a gift about something. Do what you will with that, you know? And I do feel like there's a criminal aspect to all of this, because I think the person that this all started with, he has his friends and, you know, people that believe him, and, you know, the Miami community, and then there's me, and there's a lot that could be said for, oh, she made it up, she wants attention. I am still the person that wanted the least amount of attention. And it's funny, isn't it interesting how the women that get abused or get stalked, and like gang stalked and hacked and stuff and all that, they're the ones that are silenced, but the perpetrator who did it gets to walk free? Isn't that fucked up? I guarantee you, if you had someone, you know, we live in a very patriarchal society, right? Not to say like I don't know if I'm feminist or not, I guess I am, but like, we live in a patriarchal society. So, that being said, from a man's perspective, a man will never be able to understand the truth of what it feels like to have a man follow you home or drive in front of your house multiple times, or your job, or show up at places that you frequent after you tell your mom on the phone, hey, I'm going to go here to get Oreos at the grocery store. And then he's there. And then you start having all this other weird phenomena start happening, and you're like, what the fuck? And then you rely on your precinct, the people that are put, right? They're trained. Police officers are fucking trained. They're trained, you know? I didn't try to become a police officer, but I tried to get the training to be able to fight off, you know, the physical aspect of it, because I did. And now I sit here with now not $40 to my name, but like, I don't know, $18. I'm not kidding. And if you say that, how do you have a roof over your head? Well, yeah, my parents did help pay for this. I don't know anymore. I question everything. I feel like my life is being planned out for me before I don't feel like I have a choice anymore. I feel like I was sold. I'm gonna be dead ass honest. I feel like I was sold. And that sucks. From what I wear to how I wear my hair to who I would date, everything. I feel like I know that sounds really like far out. That's what it feels like. And the hardest part is like when you know in your third eye, like in your intuition, that like there's more, like to the story than people are letting on. Like sometimes I feel like my soul is 10 times bigger than what I feel like my body's failing me, number one. I feel like people aren't giving me the truth about things, number two. And if you say, oh, your body's failing you, then why do you look okay? Well, I don't feel okay inside. I'm just a fighter and I don't give up. Like I mentioned before, there's a guy, Zach Sobiak, who he had osteosarcoma. Not a guy, he was a boy. And I always tell myself, if that guy, or as a teenager, can get through, osteosarcoma and cancer. And he said he liked to write songs and stuff. And he said that if he, like, no matter what, he would go on stage and he's like, I don't care if I'm coughing up blood, which I'm not, but like, he's like, I will continue to sing and I will continue to move forward in my life. And I said, if that kid can do that at 17 years old, I can get through anything. Granted, I don't know. For me, it's like talking about gangs, cartels, government conspiracy, this and that. It leaves you kind of, it's very scary. Because those are things that are out of my hands. I can't control that. And my hands are clean. I didn't do anything wrong. That's the fucked up part. I'm gonna soften I feel very tense in my face. So, I wish I was more like of a risk taker and a little bit ballsier, just because it would be so much easier if I didn't care about doing the right thing and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna do what I want, YOLO. Because there's people like that who are like, fuck it, I don't give a shit, I don't care what people think, I don't care about the government, I don't care about this, fuck that. Like, that's and me, I'm like, no, I want to do the right thing, I want to follow the rules, and I'm literally almost getting murdered. And being illegally, I think, I don't know, sometimes I've read online with targeted people and gang stalking that they, basically, like, I don't know if you get categorized in a certain way, but that basically you, whatchamacallit, you can get illegally studied or tested on or something like that. I don't know, bro. I don't know. Yo no sé qué. So I've been trying to go, how do I go about this? Because I feel like they're trying to hurt me and my dog, like kill me and my dog. Poison us slowly, so to cover up the crime that they did. Because there was a crime. I have a deck of cards that's, whatchamacallit, with certain people's occupations. And it has one, like maybe a month ago, it came out and it said, it was like cyber engineer, criminal, gangster, like all like, I was like, there you go. I was like, boom, right on the money. Boom, bitch. So for people interested in crime, you can follow along with the real one that's not getting investigated. But me, I am investigating it. Which I know I said before that tarot card readers and stuff, be mindful. I will say this. I'm going to flip it a little bit on its head. If you are not getting the justice that you deserve, right, if you are a victim of a crime, And if you're someone like me who is like, it gnaws away at you incessantly and you're like, I need to figure this out, because something that, to me, I do believe that is God, that is an inner voice telling you there's more to the story and I'm trying to get in touch with you. And as a medium, I will say that, you know, I strongly do feel that there is the other side. Do I know what it looks like? No. I think personally it's another dimension. I think, like when you, what's the Marvel movie, the Doctor Strange with the universe, the multiverse? I don't know if we have multiverses. I remember there was a dad that I used to teach his daughters yoga, and he said, oh, there's a multitude of multiverses. Like we exist in different, I'm like, that's a little bit, I don't know, maybe. That'd be cool to believe that we all exist, you know, multiple times over. But, you know, when you think like the movie Interstellar, you know, with Matthew McConaughey, with the really good song, the piano song that they have, there's a scene with Jessica Chastain and like, oh, her name's Merv in the movie, and then the dad's an astronaut, I think, and then I don't know, it's something with time, and he tries to, something happen, if like, I don't know the exact premise, maybe I need to watch it again, but like years go by, you know, and he's still young when he sees her later on when she's older, but it's almost like if he doesn't fix something later on, like in the universe or whatever, like I don't remember exactly what it is, but anyways, like there's the construct of time, and he's able to almost manipulate her surroundings when he gets into this like black hole like grid thing with all the different incidences, and I'm just like, whoa, I'm like, that's really trippy. But you know, you never know, right? You don't know. We don't know how the universe really works, right? Humans, we're just like a little speck in this grand scheme of things. I do believe, I will share a little bit about my belief system in terms of like, you know, when we talk about extraterrestrials and starseeds and stuff, I do believe that there are people who are, their souls, not the human, the soul is a derivative of a specific constellation. Like there's Andromeda, there's Pleiades, there's Lyrians, there's reptilians, draconians, all these different things. And you know, if your soul comes from that area, you know, different things, you're gonna be like they said Christ, they was believed, and I know people that are like, no, but Christ is not, that doesn't make sense. They believe that Christ was Pleiadian. Pleiadians are supposed to be very compassionate. And so, like if you think of Atlantis, right? Atlanteans, that whole idea of Atlanteans, that kind of thing. These people that have these soul signatures, that's imprinted. It's almost like when you think of regular DNA, the double helix, right? That intertwines in physical form manifestation. I do believe there's also spiritual DNA, and that's embedded and ingrained into ourselves. I don't know if science has gotten that far to look into it, but I do believe that certain individuals, because it's a miracle. Like it is, I think, legit a miracle. I don't have a special blood type, not that I know of, but I literally do think it's a miracle. Like in my heart of hearts, I believe I've been poisoned with cyanide. I've been exposed to cyanogen gas, Botox, a lethal something like venom, bee venom, which is an apitoxin. And I do my research because I look into this stuff because it interests me. Like I like medicine and stuff. So, but that's not medicine. Thallium is not medicine. Those are poisons. Arsenic is poison. And I do believe that you can overcome, like it sounds crazy, but the body is miraculous. You know, we are a self-healing machine. Not to say, and I don't need, and here's the thing, I don't need people to go, like I don't need the WHO to come after me, you know, and be like, tell this girl to shut up because, you know, she's telling people but no, and I hate to say it, for the people that don't like Freemasons, the Freemasons know this shit. They know this shit. Meaning, you know, why does someone become a 33-degree Mason? Because from what I understand, they have to level up in rank and they have to complete specific tasks. And once you've reached almost enlightenment and you're able to almost not say like, you know, with, you know how, what's his face in the satanic thing, Anton LaVey, he said he could levitate. Well, it's this idea that like your mind is so powerful that if you were exposed like me, to various things that your mind could probably overcome them. That's the thought, and Freemasons are taught, I think, this esoteric knowledge. There's a lot more to it than that, but I think that that's the more character development that you have for yourself, like as a person, you can almost alchemize, energy around you, or influence, not in an interstellar way, but, everything is, right? Protons, neutrons, like electrons, right? So we are, when you think about it at the most basic level, the basic core units of life are your cells, right? And in your cells, you have a nucleus, you have the cytoplasm, oh my God, endoplasmic reticulum or something. I don't remember mitochondria, where ATP, adenosine triphosphate, is created. Protein, whatever, all this stuff. Is it called endoplasmic reticulum? The cell membrane? I don't remember. This was so long ago. The organelles, all that shit. That's biology. But it's this idea that you can essentially almost be able to heal yourself. There was a documentary on Amazon about this as well. I watched it. It was very interesting, on Prime. Shout out to Amazon Prime. They have really good documentaries on Amazon Prime. And so, yeah, and certain star systems or whatnot, allegedly, within that, depending on your character, your characteristics and your traits, that you would be able to have certain abilities, supernatural abilities. Like, let's say Andromeda, I guess. I'm going to look this one up, because that one, Andromeda star seeds. There's Pleiadian, just so people, maybe I'll call this like spirituality, my experience with spirituality, or whatever. I didn't talk about that. How did I get into that? I should talk about that. Because I've decided, while I'm looking for work, because yes, I don't believe in committing suicide or taking my life, as these wonderful, lovely individuals that we call gang stalkers love to push via hacking and cyberbullying, because that's their job. I don't want to do that. So I said, I'm going to keep myself occupied, and what can I do in the interim while I am trying to figure out what to do for work? And I don't know how long I'm going to stay on this earth. We're never guaranteed that, right? Meaning, because if these assholes and I don't like to call people assholes. Let me get that straight. I do not like to call people assholes, because it's mean, it's condescending, it's antagonistic, it's negative, but that's what they are. They are narcissistic assholes. And forgive me, God, for saying that. I'm not trying to be mean or rude. Please don't spite me. Sky Daddy, wherever, Sky Lady, whatever you want to call God. But they are legit assholes. To sit there and poison someone for your own freaking entertainment, and then to leave a crime like dormant, like, I don't have time for that. I've already, I still don't know if I have like other ailments with like cancer or diabetes or whatever. I've been brainwashed to believe that, because I kept seeing that over and over in my immediate reality in Virginia and here, everywhere. I kept seeing people with, I look at ads on LinkedIn, palliative care hospice professional coordinator, ads for, leukemia and stuff. And I'm like, bro, or brain tumors. And I'm like, I don't feel like I have any of that. I will say though that I think with all the toxins and things I've been exposed to environmentally, which we all do on a day-to-day basis, radiation, things like that, I don't know, I could have that. But going back to what I was saying, I may go into a little bit about how I got into spirituality, because I've decided that I will try to, I'm gonna make this brighter, I may try to start offering readings for, and make some money from that, because I'm the kind of person, I'm not super greedy. I don't like to be, that's not who I am. People who are like, I want to charge $500 for a reading, and that's not what I'm about at all. I don't believe in that, in being so greedy, to do that. So, but I do need to make some income, and I thought about it. I'd rather do that than promote GoFundMe, because GoFundMe is it's like virtual street begging. And I'm capable, I'm smart, I'm kind, I'm loyal to a fault. I know I'm an excellent worker, so I'm going to put everything I've learned. And it may fail, but I mean, I had a pretty good, when I was in Miami, I had about 5 or 6 families I was teaching kids yoga to and dance consistently. When I got certified as a yoga teacher in 2016, April 2016. And then I also got certified as a infant massage specialist because I was working in the NICU at the time. So I'm very much a person that I always want to build upon and enhance my skills. I feel like I'm doing a cover letter for a job, but that's literally like I've always, like that's my personality. If there's something I don't know, I'm like, I will go to a library, I will go on Google, on Dr. Google, I will look whatever I need to up to be able to feel competent and confident in that. So, yeah. And so that being said, what else to say? So spirituality, right? Like I decided I'm going to try to offer, I don't even know how to build a following. I don't know. I'm not into the social media marketing stuff, that's not my wheelhouse. But it would be fun to do, and I do love helping people. So if I am gifted or, have intuitive insight or clairvoyance or whatever, I can help people, to some capacity, help them, through life. I'm not a therapist. I made that disclaimer, but I will say I have gone through a shit ton of stuff in the past 6 years, excuse my language. And I didn't deserve any of it. And I lost everything that was near and dear to me. And I don't need a pity party. I don't want your pity. I want people to do what they know is right. I want people to be brave and stand up for what is right. Anybody in 2 seconds, I guarantee you, I'm not in Congress, but if I was in Congress, none of this shit would fly. I would find the person, whoever's in charge of whatever, and I would go and I go, hey, excuse me, I would knock on your door and I'd say, hey, excuse me, hi. I am representing this state or senator of this state, and there is a phenomenon known as XYZ going on. How can we get this ball rolling to look into this? Because there's a lot of people who are very scared, very alone, losing resources, possibly getting trafficked, and it's causing a mental health crisis. It's causing a lot of misinformation to be disseminated amongst the general public on a national level, possibly, on a global level as well. So how can we go about this to affect change in the world? I'm ready to do that. Not me, like personally, I'm just saying that's what I would do. It's very simple. When you want to change something, when there's a will, there's a way. 100%. There's no like, oh, I don't want to, it's too hard. No. If we can go to war with other countries, if we can do that, I'm not trying to be rude, I give, I don't want to say support, but like I give people chances, different administrations and stuff. Like when the Biden administration was in office, the Trump administration is in office now, and I know people are going to disagree with me and go, oh, but no, fuck that. And just everyone has their opinions. That's who's president right now, and we do, what we can. But that in this time-space reality, that's what we have, right? And within that, we have to work together to figure out things. And it's disgusting to me that there's people getting gang stalked every day. It's deplorable, inexcusable, because it can be remedied. I'm not going to lose my life over this. I refuse. And this is coming from, like, right now I have a shoulder that hasn't been tended to in months, that I thought a DVT was there. I have, I eat food that I eat it and I feel, my heart feels like it's getting squeezed. And then my veins look like I get a bluish tint, which indicates cyanosis. But thank goodness, I do have my little trusty handy dandy pulse ox here. And fortunately, it says my oxygen is decent. My perfusion index and the pattern or rate at which my respiration is kind of choppy. It should be more languid. It should be more like even, you know. See, my O2 is okay right now, but my BPM, yeah, it's decent. Perfusion index is at 2.3. That's not bad. As long as it's been 1.0. That means the rate of exchange of oxygen in my, what's it called? The bronchioles, no, the alveoli. You have these little sacs in your lungs where there's oxygen exchange, you know, because you breathe in oxygen, you exhale CO2. So we go into, just a little tidbit of medicine, we go into acidosis when there's a higher level of carbon dioxide in the body and there's a lower level of oxygen. So you can literally, you know, suffocate. Any Hoosiers, or I like to say Hoosiers in honor of the Midwest. Yeah. So what else I was gonna say? Yeah, I just, for me personally, I think that there's no excuse why things cannot change. I know, you know, one of the women that I look up to as a role model, there's a few, like Maya Angelou, she passed on. Audrey Hepburn, I think she was just so classy and beautiful. And I'm gonna do a movie marathon of Audrey Hepburn movies, just because, you know, Hepburn, because and she was a philanthropist too. She just was the epitome of class and I think a dancer. And yeah, so anyways, she said a quote that anything is possible. Even in the word impossible, it says possible. So I know it feels like some things are insurmountable and not, but to me, it's possible. If people really wanted, it's the same thing. Okay, perfect example. Ready? Look, my shoulder is really blue though. In comparison to this one, it's like normal. Bad shoulder, good shoulder. Oh look, my O2 is lower, so it's 94. I'm not trying to flick off anybody, but it is lower, so 94. See, that's correct. That's not that bad. If it was like 80, it went up to 95, 96, 97. Now it's going up. As I talk, it gets better. There was something I was gonna say. What was I gonna say? There was something I was gonna say, and it's like dating. If someone really is interested in you, it's the same thing. When someone's interested in you, they make the effort. I'm so tired of people that are like, oh, but I want to play games with someone. No, bitch, don't do that. We're too old. I don't have time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. You know. So, you know, when you want to, you can. So, this mind FUCK of bullshit about targeting and gang stalking, I can't stand it. I can't stand seeing people hurting. I can't believe it even happens. Oh, you get targeted because you're chosen. We're all chosen to some extent. We're all here, aren't we? So, it's annoying. It really is annoying and so frustrating because we have so much potential to be like even better than we were before as a country. In my opinion. I mean, right now we're in a state of political divisiveness. You know, the left is at war with the right is at war with the left. You know, people, that whole Epstein thing is stupid shit. I don't even know why we focus on it so much. I know it sounds, well, no, I do know why. I forgive me. I'm not gonna ignore that. It's, you know, but it's just like anything. But, you know, everything gets sensationalized. You know, what about world hunger? What about famine? What about poverty? We know people are shitty. We know people do rape, incest, all that crap. Not downplaying that whole thing, but it's like, I don't even look into, I don't pay attention to that shit. I don't pay attention to that shit. I know it's there and people are like, no, and it's horrible. And I know some people feel very tied to that cause because maybe they had, what's it called? Maybe they've had a family member who they themselves have, experienced an injustice with like sexual assault or sexual violence or whatever. But again, you stay in your lane, right? But the world itself, we are all like collectively just, I feel like there's this need for change. People are so done with like dishonesty and for me specifically, it's like the fact that like just the sheer fact that like I got bullied by people in my community, like in Miami, is just ridiculous. And then to be gaslit, oh, it's not happening. No, it is happening. I can't remote view into people and, look at what they're looking at and like see, but like I kind of can't. I mean, I have that ability. I know it sounds weird, but I kind of can like feel what people do, if that makes sense. And I know people are texting each other and I could see it. I can see it in there's cops, there's crooked cops that they don't need a warrant and they illegally surveillance some women. How many men, when you think about it, are cops and, they date someone and then they can put like a wire on that person's phone just to keep tabs on them and see like who they're talking to. That's another thing, that needs to be addressed because some people, that's a breach of like obviously human rights, but privacy. And I don't know why, also something that I want to say is, and then I'll talk a little bit more about spirituality, but I don't know why there's this hyper fixation on categorization of like in terms of, I never realized like when you grow up, society or whoever is governing this whole universe, not God, I'm like I do believe like there's God, like there's spirituality and there's different dimensions, but then I also think that there's like a group of people behind the scenes or something that are like very well connected to other things like government and whatever, and they have pull, they have clout, there's a point I was gonna make to that. I forgot. It'll come back to me. But to me, this is inexcusable. Girl gets gang stalked, people don't believe her, or she's whatever, and she tries to reach out for help, and people abuse their authority, right? They abuse their security, meaning like they'll cover it up. It's called Loveint, Loveint. It's when people use their intelligence capabilities or whatever, I guess, I don't know if it's within government or whatever, to spy on people, which is scary. So then you feel, at a loss or a disadvantage because, especially as a woman, I can't, tell people to be honest and to do the right thing. That should be given, right? That should be customary. So it's really sad to see the world up. There's this, I think, a spiritual war and a physical war. And I don't know, you know what it feels like? You know, Star Wars? That's what it feels like, Star Wars. There's a physical war and a spiritual war. And I do think that there are people like starseeds or whatever that are gifted, that are being single-handedly groomed or chosen to either perform certain tasks and brainwashed and controlled and monitored. And then there's just other people that get targeted just to see what they're made out of, and I don't know, that and the third, whatever. But for me specifically, which I can get into, I could talk a little bit more about spirituality and stuff maybe, because that might be fun. I would like to, it'd be nice if I could meet other individuals out there who also share maybe the same gifts or abilities, not fake psychic, like real people, or maybe not a psychic, just an intuitive, an empath. Because we are different. The things that interest us don't interest other people. Like, I'm more interested, like, I like cats. I love cats. If I could get a little cat, I would. I love cats. I'm more attuned to animals. I love animals. I love when I'm walking down the street and there's these little birds that are like finches and they like hop. I like birds more than people. I love flowers. I call that God's artwork, nature's tapestry. I don't do the minutia of like going to a bar and getting drunk. Like, that's stupid to me. I'm gonna sit at a bar and be like, ah, la, la, la. You know, like there's the women that are like with their titties hanging out and they're like, you know, all dressed up. And like, I will take it back. I've always wanted to wear it. Okay, so like years ago when they were really in style, there were these dresses that were like, they're called bandeau or bandeau dresses, and they're like, they wrap around your body and they're super form-fitting. I've wanted to wear one of those dresses and then a ballroom dance dress that's like really like cha-cha-cha with the little tassels. I still, to this day, I don't even wear high heels. And I have like one pair of high heels, and that was just for a ballroom dance class and a heels dance class. Like, I'm very different from most 34-year-old women. You know, I would rather, if things were perfect and normal in my, in the fantasy world, not fantasy world, but in my vision board world, I would have a small little house or a cottage somewhere with a garden, and then I would have like a library, like a small library, and I'd collect, because I like books, and then I'd have a window seat. I'd have a window seat and just my nook. And then I would make, for some reason it's funny because I just envisioned myself like in this area. I don't know where it is, but it wasn't here. Maybe it was abroad. It wasn't America, it was somewhere else. I literally see it in my head. Maybe I'm seeing a future tense thing. And I have a desk and I do writing. That's weird. I literally just saw like future tense me, but was I by myself? I don't know. Unless it's wishful thinking. But there was a desk, and it's like I drink, and my tea, and I was safe too. Oh my God, I was safe. The tea wasn't laced with anything. It was coffee. It was like, oh my God, like, not like Earl Grey is Earl Grey in the UK? And oh my God, 1, 2, 3 on the clock. It's 1:23 a.m. here. Where is that? I literally just saw myself like in a house, like a small, is that an Airbnb? Where is that? Maybe that's like future tense me in like a year and a half. 2027. I don't know. Weird. I've never experienced that before, like future tense, because I've been able to see past tense like situations in my mind's eye, but future tense I haven't been able to see. But I saw a desk, and I do writing. Interesting. I don't know if Bonnie was there though. I don't know. That could also be law of attraction, just visualization. But anyways, I forgot what I was. What I was saying is that I am very different from. We'll get into that, I guess, because I do kind of want to talk about something else other than targeting, because it's just so annoying. And death and dying and all that bullshit, and being poisoned and drugged and experiments and labs and stupid crap stupid shit. You know, that I'm just pathetic. So how did I get into spirituality? What is my definition? I think I mentioned this yesterday. I think it's the relationship you have with yourself, and that which is unseen. Your direct connection to the world around you, and the phenomena, of that. And it's almost like when you talk about your emotional GPS, your consciousness, your conscience, right? That's a concept in yoga, consciousness, right? Mindfulness, cultivating mindfulness. And I used to be so good at that. I used to be so much better at being mindful and being in the present. But because of stupidity, I've had to deviate from that and focus on how to survive. And I've been so preoccupied with trying to get through this BS that I haven't been able to do. I know that it sounds like an excuse, but literally majority of my time has been comprised of how to survive this bullshit. I feel like I get tested every day. I'm not kidding. Like, I feel like I'm in a arena, like a Hunger Games arena. And the next level is like, let's remove the food. Remove the food. No more food. No more laundry detergent. Go. And I'm like, I don't know how to. Oh, let's see if she goes camping. Let's see if she goes fishing. I don't want to do that. I'm not going to play that game. That's a stupid ass game. And if anyone's part of that and you guys are like, oh, but we want to see what you're made out of, that's not your fucking right to do that to a person. It's stupid. And I don't have mental health issues. I have PTSD, anxiety, and it was like moderate depression. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I'm just going by the research that I've done. Like, if I was a student in school, and there's a lot of resounding truths of people going through the same shit that I am. And who's going to do anything about it? I don't know. Anyways, going back to what I was saying. Spirituality. How did I get into that? There was a show. First of all, like I said, I was raised Catholic. I went to CCD on Sundays at a parochial school that was within the Archdiocese of Miami, in Miami, Florida. It was located in Pinecrest. If you know what I'm talking about, great. There's Columbus High School, Lourdes. This was the middle school that was associated with those brother schools and sister schools. That is a whole nother beast in itself. Catholic school is, I'm not going to get into that. I'm just going to talk about my relationship with God, and that I was always enamored by the stories of the Bible. I don't know why. I had a book that was called the Early Years Bible. I also had a saints book that I loved dearly. It was in my room, and it was yellow, and it was like about like yay high. It was a hardcover book, and I loved as a kid. I don't know why I gravitated towards that stuff, and it had all the different saints. Saint Cecilia, Saint Anthony of Padua, Saint Francis of Assisi, Saint Dymphna, Saint Patrick, Saint Nicholas, John the Baptist, all these, key figures in, biblical history. And that was like something, like people would, like kids read other stuff. I was looking into like the saints and stuff. And then I had my Early Years Bible, and it was blue. It was like a light blue, teal, like turquoise color. and it had a picture of, it was Noah and the ark, and it was like cartoons. It was like little cartoons, and it was really the paper stock was very like gritty and grainy, and so that, I don't know why, I was obsessed. I still to this day, I used to get obsessed when even in middle school, when we used to go to the library. I loved the smell of books, and like when I would stick my face in the book, and I was like, oh, this smells so good. And it's like even if and when the pages are yellowed, oh my god, forget about it. That, and I don't know why, Sharpie. I love the smell of Sharpie. It sounds so weird. I don't know why. Sharpie smells were like really. I promise I never got high off of Sharpies, but it just, that was that, like in a book with when someone had their handwritten notes and stuff. But I did have my early years Bible, and I don't know. I enjoyed reading that stuff, and I created my little prayer shrine. I had this little, when I had my first communion, I don't even know if I still have it with me. I think I got rid of it. And it was with Monsignor. I'm not going to say his last name, but it was my little thing. It was like in the shape of a book, and it had a little yellow butterfly. And I had my hands like this, and I had my little communion dress on with my white bow in my hair. And yeah. And I did my sacraments. I did confirmation, 7th grade. And I always thought reconciliation was funny sometimes. No offense. Because, like, you have people who are like, oh, forgive me, Father, for I have sinned. And these are, like, people who, like, are scoundrels, right? And then they think that, like, because they get, forgiven by a priest, that, like, their sins are washed away. That's a bunch of bukkake. I'm sorry. It takes a lot more than 2 Hail Marys, 1 Our Father. Like, you have to put in the work to do a lot of inner healing work and character development to be able to, like, so I don't know. That's just in my opinion. So yeah. What else after that? I had my little prayer shrine. I collected a few rosaries, not glass bead ones, just plastic ones. I don't know why. They handed those out like during church service sometimes, like for Easter and for confirmation, whatever. And so I kept those. I put them around my little praying hands little thingy, like my little figurine made out of ceramic, and it was hand painted and had little roses on it. So that was nice. And then I just, every night, I added to my little shrine. I added more books. And I remember we had in Coral Gables, there was this Barnes & Noble. Barnes & Noble was like my favorite store to go to growing up on Miracle Mile, because I don't know why. Like when the advent of Barnes & Noble came about, the smell of coffee just, those coffee beans, the Starbucks. I think they use Starbucks coffee. It's just weird because I could literally picture, and I remember in my mind like just walking through the door and seeing there was the kids section, because they had a section completely devoted for and there's a reason why I'm mentioning Barnes & Noble, because it's relevant to my journey of spirituality. But they had this is when CDs, this is like the 90s, I think, when CDs were very popular. And like I think it was Britney Spears had her CDs, Christina Aguilera, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, old school, like old, and they had like a listening area. And then the other side of the Barnes & Noble, they had the cashier area, and then they had little knickknacks and doohickeys with like the little mugs and the journals. And then further down there was the cafe, I think, right? I don't know if that was added later on, but the coffee beans of like the Seattle coffee, oh my God, it was so good. It was so good. And forgive me if I cry, it's just because I'm going to try my best not to cry. It's just because reliving it, like that was my home, and I miss that, and I miss feeling safe and all of that. And anyways, moving on. But Barnes & Noble was really instrumental to me and spirituality, because I would often we went to the kids area sometimes, and then as I grew up, I then started to take an interest. I think my dad did yoga. I remember my dad did yoga because he had a meditation cushion. It was really hard. It was blue, and it was felt like a rock. And he went to a yoga studio called Prana Yoga, and then he passed that meditation cushion off to my brother. And then when I worked, I watched a lot of shows. Like there was a show called I Survived Beyond and Back, where basically it was this recollection of people who had near-death experiences, and they would recount their story about like how they passed away and they flatlined and they were defined as clinically dead, right? So I don't know if they were brain dead, because I think once you pass away, like your heart can stop or whatever, but like if you flatline, you can be resuscitated with like the CPR and whatnot, like with cardio, the fuck is it called? Not myopathy. The thing, the clear CPR, whatever, AED. Whatever the cardio, bro, oh my God, cardiopulmonary resuscitation. I feel so ignorant right now. Cardiopulmonary resuscitation with the assist device, the assist electrical device or whatever, and cardioversion, as they call it in the medical world. So, what else with that? There was a point I was gonna make. Yes, so I watched those shows, and then I always, I don't know, I was fascinated by this idea that we exist more than our body. And growing up, I consider that a given, because again, I was raised Catholic, so, Christmas time came around, and Christmas time is still to this day one of my favorite holidays, because it's just, there's a sense of joy in the air. Everyone's happier. Christmas music plays, the snow, even though there was no snow in Miami, for me, it was like, it was fun. We had a little park where they would decorate it and they put fake snow, it was really cute. And then it'd have Santa, in the little castle there. And, I don't know why we sit on his lap though. That's a little weird when I think about it. Anyways, so, I would watch these shows, and my dad also was into that kind of stuff too. Like he was really into like metaphysics and whatnot. And so his name Vincent Van Peele, Norman Vincent Peale or something. He had a bunch of books on his nightstand, like A Course in Miracles, How to Train Your Mind and stuff like that. And I don't know, I was fascinated by that stuff too. And because when I was in my parents' room sometime, growing up, I would stay in my parents' bed. And no, not in a weird sense. This was just like, it's called co-sleeping when you're a kid. And I was scared of the dark, and I was scared to be alone. So I would, and my dad had his books on his shelf or the dresser. And we had a picture of Christ, I've got a beautiful picture of Christ above their dresser. And of my grandfather as well. So, yeah. So spirituality was very, very much a key part of my life growing up. And then, as I got older, I would go to Barnes & Noble, and whenever we would go there, just like on the weekend, or we had family friends that also, like, we would hang out with them, and we would go to, like, there was a restaurant called Archie's Pizza. It was so good. It was so good. This pizza was, like, so delicious. And, oh my God, and their bread, it was like focaccia bread with like the olive oil and the sun-dried tomatoes and cracked pepper and sea salt. So good. That's why I'm a foodie. I'm not someone that's like, oh, I repel food, I'm anorexic. No, bitch. Like I could eat like a horse. So what else? I'm trying to remember what else. So Barnes & Noble. Oh, yeah. So we would go there, and then I realized, I go, you know what? When I did child life therapy, and then I go, you know what? I don't know if I took yoga when I started doing it, like with classes. I did it sporadically, not consistently. Like I did it at home on my own volition. Like we had Comcast Xfinity at one point, and I would train a lot to Cindy Whitmarsh. There was like 2 summers, I kid you not. I call it my 2-pack. My two-pack. Right here. It's my 2-pack. I don't know. You can sort of see well, it's my ribcage, but you can see a little 2-pack. And that was I was very proud of that, because I worked tirelessly, not to look good, just because I want to be in good shape and be healthy. And I think, I don't know if it was, I was in high school at the time or college, but I did that. And then there's a point I'm going to make to this. So yoga is a physical practice, but it's also a spiritual one, and it's done in a way, proper yoga, not the trying to look cool and do the back bends with the toes and the thing on your head, and that's really cool, it's fun. But real yoga is about fostering the mind-body connection and pairing breath with movement. That's why the school of not school of thought, but the school of yoga that I was taught was Hatha Vinyasa, which is a physical practice, which is like literally pairing the breath with movement. So you inhale up, exhale down, inhale up, sun salutation, exhale down, forward fold. If you know this, if you do Ashtanga yoga, you would understand what I'm referencing. But it was really grounding and aligning, and I did that at home. And I also did a little Pilates, but I wasn't really serious about it. And then I got serious about it when I worked as a child life specialist in the hospital, and I said to myself, I need more in my toolkit. I don't know what possessed me to think that getting certified in yoga, because when I did it, I was like, I actually did, like, it was a whole thing. Like, I was like, oh, I'll just sit and listen. I didn't know I was gonna have to teach a class. I wasn't doing it to teach in the community. I was just doing it because as a child life specialist, I wanted something in my arsenal to go, okay, if I see a kid and he's not decompensating, he's freaking out, and I go, how can I teach kids yoga in a way that's amenable to him so that he can calm down? Let's say he was coming in for, like, let's say he had asthma, or they were going to do an IV start, and I would go in there and I would sometimes use it, like also progressive muscle relaxation, visualization techniques, meditation, mindfulness. Though I used that a lot when a patient was going under anesthesia with ketamine, funny enough, for conscious sedation with whatchamacallit, bone reductions, closed bone reductions. I'm like, my mind was drawing a blank. It was for when patients in the ER, they experience, they come in with because when you break a bone, there's open fractures, there's closed fractures. So a closed fracture is there's no break in the skin, right? An open fracture is like the bone sticking out. But what happens is that they get an orthotech to come, or an orthopedic, and then they have a guy with the X-ray, a mobile X-ray, and then they have an anesthesiologist come, and they can do. I mean, they could do not propofol, that would knock them out. But essentially, they give them ketamine so that they're more loopier, and they give them ketamine and morphine. They push it simultaneously. And then so the kid is like in a twilight mode where he's like, and their eyes go, vibrate back and forth. It's really freaky. And then, but they don't feel any pain. And then they manipulate the bone back into position. It's pretty cool. Like, I love that shit. And that's why at one point I was like, I wanted to be a PA. And I didn't do it. But anyways, so I would do a lot with the kids. Once I got certified, that was in 2016. I would do like kind of progressive muscle relaxation, or bringing awareness to certain parts of the body. And I would put my phone next to their ear and put like relaxing music and give them a stress ball so they were calmer. I loved doing child life therapy ER. It was so much fun. It was fun. There was always something new going on and whatnot. So, any hoosers, going back to the spirituality thing, I did that, and then I got certified, but I ended up going to Barnes & Noble a lot, and I would do this thing where I would, even at FIU, when I went to FIU for college, there was a Barnes & Noble there in the Modesto Medique campus, and I would pull, I'd go, what book do I want to look at today? I read a lot of Joel Osteen books. There was a neurologist or a neuroscientist that he said that he had a near-death experience, and I read some of his book. So I wouldn't buy the books because some of them are expensive, but I would just sit, for me, on my own time during my lunchtime between classes. Like, I didn't do sororities, I didn't do any of that shit, Greek life, whatever. I would often just go into the bookstore, and I would pick a book, and I would just open the book and read it for fun. I know that sounds weird, but there are people who do that, you know, and for me, I think the more you know, the better. When you have a plethora of knowledge to talk about things, right, that makes for a really well-rounded, dynamic individual. Like, I want to be around that person versus like a bump in a log. Like, you know, when people go on a date or like you're talking to someone on an app and they have like really shitty conversation skills, boop. I'm like, nope. I don't have time for you. You know, you make time for people, and if you're a shitty conversationalist, excuse me, like I don't do the one word answers of what's up, HBU, WYD, what you do. I'm like, come on, I'm like, sometimes like maybe I should be a dating coach and coach men on how to have proper, you know, etiquette, social etiquette and manners when you're talking to people of the opposite sex. So what else? But Barnes and Noble, so then, yeah, early adult years, even middle of that, like I worked as a server at like Bricktops and Coral Gables when that was open. And like when I was on my break or like when I was doing the yoga teacher training, I would just go again into Barnes and Noble and I'd pick like a book. I'd be like, what book do I need to, you know, what's the message I need to hear for myself? And let me tell you, the most coolest thing I've ever done is when you go and you leave it, you throw caution to the wind and you're like, God, universe, what's the message that I need to know most today? And so I would just grab a book in the metaphysical spiritual aisle. Not necessarily religious, whatever, but I would just grab a book and then I'd open it and I'd be like, and then I'd be like, so I've learned about auras, color theory, Reiki, healing, chakras, and that just interested me so much because I'm like, it's the unseen world, but like if you believe it, right? And I used to sit there like on the floor and I'm like, I don't know if I would get in trouble doing that now, but I loved doing it then. And so Barnes & Noble will always have a place in my heart, and I'm sad that I'm not like really close to one right now. I remember in Connecticut, there was one in Westport, and they had like the cutest, like it was decorated very nicely. It was big too, and like, I don't know. I love that stuff. Anyways, so that was, Barnes & Noble played a big part of that and just kind of my spiritual growth and development. And there were things about how to fine-tune your third eye, like your psychic, your intuition, your empathic abilities, clairvoyance. There was a book, too, that was like, it was huge. It was like a textbook. It was called something by Llewellyn, Llewyn. That was the author. And that was like, I don't know, it was like, it had everything. It talked about everything, like, in psychic world, you know. And I was like, it was so cool. I didn't get through the whole book. I ended up giving it away, I think on OfferUp or something. And but I collected a lot of books over my time. So that, you know, and then so I will say, psychic abilities, where did that come into play? The more, I want to say, trauma I experienced, the stronger my abilities got, or the more intuitive I felt. I don't know if that's a good way to say it, but I don't know if there's a correlation between trauma and pain and psychic awakening or spiritual awakening. Maybe the pain instigates it in some way or is a catalyst to it, because maybe like you have to dig deep into the reservoir of your, you know, inner psyche or something, or subconscious, and then that brings about this, you know, extrasensory perception of the world and whatnot. So but yeah, like it was I read a lot of, when Amazon, that's another thing. When Amazon, I got a Kindle one year. I don't know if it was for a Christmas gift or a birthday gift, but I got a Kindle and I started to download books about like spiritual awakening and stuff. So that was interesting, you know. So I don't know, it's fascinating to me to think that there's more to the human body, right? Because, you know, like, how do I explain this to someone that's not into that stuff, that thinks it's a bunch of, you know, crap? it's like when you walk into a room and you sense people's energy, like, or you sense the vibes, right? Like when you walk into a room or you go into a movie theater and, like, let's say, okay, for example, this is why I honestly believe everyone's psychic. I'm so sick of people like, oh, this one's psychic, that one's not. No. You walk into a movie theater. You scan the audience and you're like, where do I want to sit? And then you go and you climb the little stairs and then you see someone sitting in that main in the middle, right? And you're like, do I want to sit next to that person? I've had people where I sit next to them and I'm like, I get weird vibes automatically, or I sense that they're in conflict with each other. Plus, too, though, their body language is really a good tell. There's nonverbal communication and verbal, and even at a young age, I would be able to tell whether someone was in conflict with one another, judging by the way they sat, if their arms were crossed, if they were at a distance with each other, or just I could feel their essence or their presence or motives which is claircognizance. I didn't realize after that was claircognizance. When you know a lot about someone without them even talking to you. This would happen a lot too as a server. When I worked as a server, I met a lot of different people, and I could almost sometimes predict like what they would order before they ordered it. Or I knew that they were going to get a certain wine. It was weird. It was cool at the same time, but like it was weird. And or I would know what part of Miami they were from, or like if they were divorced, or or what the dynamic was, because sometimes there would be people who were bringing their escorts and shit. Like they would bring their not their significant other, and then they would come back with their significant other. So that was interesting. And yeah, kind of scary though. Anyways, I digress. I did go to I went to get an angel reading done. That was interesting. He was the one that actually told me, the guy. I went to him when all this stuff, for a second time. You're only supposed to see him like 3 times. But I went to him when I was 18. And he's spot on. I mean, the romance part, that was a little wonky. He was a little off with that. But everything else, he told me about a past life. He told me about, he did know some things about me. What did he mention to me? He did mention about having my own business one day. He did say that. He did also mention about writing, which is funny. I just had a vision of myself. But I wasn't here in America, unless it was somewhere maybe like more East Coast or the South. Because it wasn't, it wasn't the West. My cottage vision wasn't, I don't know, maybe, who knows, but it didn't feel like that. It felt like it was abroad, actually. But he did say about writing. He also said about journalism, too, which was interesting. So I don't know, I didn't study mass communications and journalism, but he did mention that. And he kind of just broke things down, like about my timeline. He did say my hair would look different, I would look a little bit different. And at the time, I remember I had very frizzy, curly hair, and I remember I wore this dress that I got that had like blue and gray stripes on it, and it was interesting. I had an interesting, they were a kid, I was 18, so, anyways, what was I gonna say? Angel readings. I still read the books. I was still into metaphysical stuff. I got into meditation. I started to do affirmations in the morning. Sound bath healing stuff. I would listen to that. I went to yoga classes. I wasn't purposely trying to fine-tune psychic abilities and all that. It just kind of came naturally, like organically. And then once I got certified in the yoga, I started to teach about it, like what I knew, to other people, or to like the kids. But I was more focused on, from a child life specialist perspective, I was very big on like kumbaya, be kind, treat your fellow classmates with respect. And I was very big on trying to foster, a positive self-image and self-esteem, because when you're a kid, life is really hard, and you have people that pick on you and you look different and your body's changing. And, you know, like for me, I wasn't the most attractive kid. Like I had buck teeth. I had a unibrow. I had a kid in middle school call me the Grinch. And I used to wear my hair in a bun. And one kid was like, the same kid, he even told me, he's like, oh, you look like you have cancer. He's like, you look like a cancer patient. And I was like, and I didn't really know what cancer was at the time. I just didn't feel like it felt like an insult. And I was very lanky and my skin, it was just, anyways, again, I digress. But, yeah, I got very, I always felt like, and then when I had a family member, if they passed away, I always felt like I had some sort of kinship with that, and I would see signs or synchronicities. I would see a lot of butterflies. I've seen a lot of like yellow butterflies, white butterflies, especially when I was going to the hospital. When I started to work at the local pediatric hospital, I would see a lot of butterflies, which was interesting. It was one of my favorite things to get in the car and I'd be like, oh, am I going to see a butterfly today? And I love that because they're so beautiful, like the little white. It's supposed to be that, you know, butterflies signify like purity, renewal, spring, angels. They're supposed to represent angels or angelic presence. And for some reason, I do see birds often. I used to see a lot of blue jays and cardinals. That was nice. I don't really see them anymore. That's how I know things are wonky right now. I don't see the things that... maybe someone did curse me or hex me or something, you know? It's like someone took my destiny and swapped it. Anyways. What else? Spirituality. So yeah, more books. I always, and you know, everything I had an inspiration wall. I had calendars that with inspiring, you know, quotes on them. I collected quotes. If there was something that someone said that I heard somewhere, I would write it down. Like I wrote down that quote that I have somewhere by Miranda Kerr. And is that her name? Yeah. Oh my God. I was like, what? Did I say her name wrong? I was like, I don't think so. Out of respect for her. She doesn't know who I am, but so yeah. What else? Yep, that's it. I mean, and then I don't know, as life went on, I started to get a little bit more just aware and everything. I will say, like when I would go to Miami-Dade College or, you know, FIU, I always felt bigger than my body, if that makes sense. You know, and I did have an interest in Reiki healing as well. You know, like about being able to like, you know, the power of touch. Even though Reiki healers, they don't really touch you. They just do like, they lay the hands over you, but they like, it's supposed to be like a transference of energy, like because the person's the conduit and you're supposed to get the energy from light source and it's supposed to disseminate down. One of my decks kind of, I don't know where it is. But anyways, so like that. And then, yeah. And I would often, like when if my parents ever felt, and please, you can make fun of me if you want, but this is what I used to do. When my parents would have a headache or if my mom was sick or like felt bad or felt tired or, you know, if she tripped or something, if my dad got sick, like I would do this thing called a healing kissy. And what I would do is I go, and I kiss their forehead, like right here. And I would imagine all my, you know, energy, like a healing energy passing through to them. And I would say, you know, please God, you know, heal my mom or heal my dad so that way they feel better. And funny enough, they would say, like, unless they were trying to appease me, but they'd say, oh my God, I do feel better. Like my dad used to get really bad splitting headaches, like migraines. And my mom too would feel pretty bad. And I did that for everybody. Like anyone, I will say I did my prayer box exercise. I started that. When did I start that? I can get it. I think it was like 2013 or 2014. I started doing prayer boxes where I would just, from the Francesco store, I would get the little thing, and I just thought it was fascinating. It said like you just, and I was like, oh, I want a prayer box. And I started writing patients' names down in the prayer box. You know, my friends that I had and things that felt out of my control. You know. So I did that, and I don't know, if it settled my soul. It made me feel good. You know, it's, for me, think about it, it's nice to wish someone well, right? It's nice to wish goodness and grace to people. How wonderful that is, right? To impart good tidings and blessings to someone. Like, you know, when it's Christmas time, right? Like when we go, I wish you a Merry Christmas. I wish you good tidings, good cheer, and blessings. Maybe that was meant for someone. I don't know. Maybe someone needs to hear that. You know, and I don't know. I think choosing love and choosing gratitude is so much better. And that's another thing too, gratitude. I did a lot of gratitude journaling. I did keep a diary too. I had like a physical diary. And I tried to focus on manifestation. Oh, oh my God, how did I forget that? So, spiritual teachers. Oh my God, bro, the land of YouTube. How could I forget this? So later on, I started to, after I watched the show I Survived Beyond and Back, which was, like I said, the recollection of people who had near-death experiences, and then they said that they allegedly went to the other side, and they said that they hovered over their body too. So they were able to recall everything that they were doing. Like if someone was taken to the trauma room or a trauma bay in the ER, they knew what the doctor said, but they were clinically dead, so how would they be able to hear this shit? So they said, oh, you were over here, this doctor was over here. They were able to see their body. And then they would go, you know, like in the Christmas Carol, you know, like where they would go with ghosts of Christmas past, ghosts of present, and whatever. They like, I don't know if they saw a loved one, or some of them, I don't know if they say they saw Christ, or some of them went to hell. Some of them went to like the void of nothing, which is scary. I hope that never happens to me. Anyhow, I mean, I don't think I should. Only bad thing I could say is I've seen, no, everyone's watched porn. I call porn, because there was a time where I was engaging in a lot of self-discovery, and I was like 19, 20, 21 years old, and I did watch, like, I was like really curious about sex. So like, anyways, that's as like bad as I think. And I have taken sexy pictures before, but they were boudoir pictures, to my defense. And then I also think I was groomed into sexual exploitation, but that's a whole nother thing for a whole nother time, because I'm not going to get into that. There's a way to, I think, go about it, by the way, for people that do OnlyFans and stuff. There's a way to go about that without being crass and crude and disgusting. That's just my take. I think the world of sexuality, that needs to change a bit. We need to change the narrative with sex. But again, I don't want to go off on a tangent. That'll be another video for another time. Oh, that will be the NSFW. So the world of YouTube. So I started, so first I don't know who I listened to first. There was Ralph Smart. I don't know if he was one of the first ones. I watched his channel a lot. He used to do, it's so funny, and he manifested it. He said like years ago, he's like, he was just starting out. Like I watched Ralph Smart when he was just starting out. Eckhart Tolle, he was kind of already getting known already. You know, all these big names in like the metaphysical world and spirituality and whatnot. But Ralph Smart, he's like, he was just starting out. And Aaron Dowdy, Victor Otto, I will say, the twin flame thing. That thing was like Jeff and Shalia. Like I watched their channel, but then there's the whole thing. Oh, is that a twin flame cult? I got into all that stuff. But I did watch a lot of YouTube videos. Not necessarily tarot. I didn't really get into that, or watch those yet, you know. But I did watch a lot of YouTube channels, and they were talking about manifestation and your thoughts and law of attraction and how we exist, like the vortex of thought. Oh, Abraham Hicks. Bro, how could I forget Abraham Hicks? Oh my God. Abraham Hicks, Esther Hicks. I listened to that as well. I loved that shit. because it's allegedly she channels like a collective. She's a medium. Was it a medium or a channeler to this energy of called not Seth. That's another person. Seth is another one that channels cosmic whatever beings, whatever you want to call it. So, but I got really into listening to Abraham Hicks. Loved that. Then Super Soul Sunday. Super Soul Sunday with Oprah. Love that shit. I watched that every single episode, and then I re-downloaded that onto my Spotify. That was during COVID time. And I would and then Joel Osteen. Oh my God, girl, how did I forget Joel Osteen? I would listen to Joel Osteen's sermons on my way to. So I worked at American Girl. If you don't know that, so they have it in Chicago at the water tower place, whatever. And what was I gonna say? So, oh yes, there was a store in Miami, Florida, the American Girl store. If you don't know the doll, that's like super expensive. They have like Josefina, and they have Samantha, and they have Kit and Molly and whatever, and they're all little cute little doll. They're big dolls, you know, and they all have a little backstory. But I worked at that they had a bistro, and I had a white button-down shirt with a black tie and a pink apron, and we would bring the little saucers and the chairs to the dolls. They have it here in Chicago, like legit. And it was very here is very fancy. They go all out. Like they have white tablecloths. They have a tea time. They have like a tea cart. I did private dining events. It was a fun time. Oh my God, their milkshake. Oh my God, they had the best sundaes. They had like this 1950 style ice cream parlor crystal bowl, and we would put like 2 heart-shaped brownies, and then we would do the ice cream, and then we would put the whipped cream. Like we would actually prepare the dessert ourselves. It is not a good place if you have diabetes or any sort of sugar addiction or sweets addiction. Not a good place to be. But I did work there. But I remember very distinctly on my way when I worked there and I had class at Miami-Dade College, I would put on Joel Osteen's sermons, and I loved listening to his sermons. He said, "This is my Bible. I am what it says I am. I have what it says I have. I can do what it says I can do. Today I will be taught the word of God. I boldly confess. My mind is alert. My heart is receptive. I will never be the same in Jesus' name." And he said, "God bless you." And then he would say, "Today I want to talk about whatever." And then he'd have his wife, Victoria Osteen, and then the son. And then his mother's name was Dodie. And his mom had cancer, I think. And she was cured. She had like bad cancer, and she was cured like completely of cancer. Amazing, miraculous. So never ever underestimate the power. And he would always talk about like how he met his wife, and then what else? How they got the Compaq Center, you know, because I think it was for the Houston Rockets, and then they went to whatever. So yeah, I was like that was my church time. I was like, when I didn't, you know, I was like, if I didn't go to church, I was like, that was my church time. I was, you know, I had my little routine, you know, and so, yeah, I'm trying to remember after that, but Joel Osteen, there was like key figures in my life Teal Swan, I did listen to Teal Swan and her teachings for a bit, along with Ralph Smart. Matt Kahn, Khan, I loved his, he has, if you guys ever want to listen to like a good, just a lecture on like twin flames, soul contracts, karmic energies, go watch his video, because that gave me such insight into like soul contracts and like why we attract certain people into our life, and like, you know, why we vibe well with some people and why we don't vibe well with other people. So what else? I'm trying to think. Did I listen? I never really listened to like Tony Robbins that much. I know he's like a motivational speaker and life coach, but I never really listened to him. Jay Shetty, I did hear a little bit about. I got into listening to, I did Headspace for like a good while. The app Headspace with Andy Puddicombe. He's a Buddhist like monk or whatever. Like I listened to that. That was helpful. I did, what else? Insight Timer was super helpful. I was like, I had a good routine going at one point in my life. And So, and then all the other shit disrupted it. But that's kind of like a brief overview of how I got into spirituality. A lot of books, just general curiosity and inquiry into just the way things work. And I think, books are so cool to me because, like, it's someone else's words on paper at one point in time that they transferred and they typed it out. And now forever you have someone's thoughts on paper. And you can access that at any time, right? They're forever lasting. Like, books are eternal. Like, you go to a library and, like, books are eternal. It's so exciting. So you can find me, like, for people that are like, and there's sometimes, like, where I'll want to, like, if I'm here by myself at home, like, I'll have my, mini little rave by myself with my EDC music and my twerk, hip hop playlist. Like, I listened to that the other day and I did salsa or something. And it was a lot of fun. I had my own little party in my in my living room. Because, when you go through a lot of shit that you don't have control over, that seems really scary and hard, you try to find the good, right? And, I can't prove what angels look like. I can't prove what saints look like. I can't prove what God looks like. I can't do that, but I don't have to see something to believe it. It's almost like in that movie, A Walk to Remember, where, what's his face, the Landon, Jamie, who's the girl that gets made fun of by, everybody, because they're like, oh, she's this, like, virginal, Christian girl or whatever. And then he goes to detention, and his detention assignment is, like, he has to go to, like, the drama club. And then the girl Jamie is, what they think is a class freak or dork, who's quiet and introverted. They end up getting, I don't know if she tutors him or something, and then he ends up, like, falling for her, but then he finds out that she has leukemia, and then he's like, oh shit. And I don't know, it's like a beautiful movie, but it's sad. But one of the lines at the end was, he said, the guy said, Jamie was like the wind. You couldn't see her, but you can feel her. And I was like, man, that's so profound. That's such good writing. I don't know who. Wait, did Nicholas Sparks? Wait. Who wrote A Walk to Remember? Is it Nicholas Sparks? Oh, it is Nicholas Sparks. That's why I was like, bro, that's why. North Carolina. I've always been wanting to go to North Carolina for the longest time. I think it's because it was that, and then there's another one, a movie, Dear John, right? With Amanda Seyfried. They made that into a movie. And then The Last Song. I read all those books. Oh, and then The Notebook. That's why. I was like, why do I want to go to North Carolina? I've been wanting to do that on my bucket list for, like, a while now. But North Carolina is, like, expensive. So, yeah. I'm just looking, I'm looking at Reddit. If you've never seen, Shane West, that's the guy's name, Shane West. And then obviously Mandy Moore, she's in the show This Is Us, which is awesome, with Milo Ventimiglia, which is so freaking good. So what was I gonna say? Anyways, ¿qué más? Yeah. So, that's kind of how my overview of spirituality is. It's not as woo. Oh, I should mention. No, wait. Let me take it back. I was one of those people with the crystals. It's really funny because there's I don't know much about him, about Matt Rife, right? Like, I heard about him when I was in Virginia, and I was not babysitting, but I was a teacher. I was an infant teacher in Virginia, and for a brief amount of time, for a few months, and I was still going through the gang stalking, whatever. And I don't want to lose my train of thought. One of the girls mentioned him. I don't know why. Oh, cause she said our boss. I was about to say my boss's name. she said, "Oh yeah, our boss." She's like, "Yeah, did you know that so and so likes Matt Rife and his comedy?" I'm like, "I have no clue." Respectfully, I was like, "I don't know who he was," so I was like, "I don't know who that is." I was like, "I don't know who he is," and I saw a little bit of it, and there was a clip actually that came up on my YouTube feed, and it was pretty funny, and it was about like he's like, "I went to this group." I was like, and I don't watch his comedy that much, but he's like, I went and I laughed because I'm like, that's so me, bro. It used to be, not anymore. I don't have any more crystals, but but he mentioned, he's like, oh, I went to this girl's house and she had like on her ledge all these crystals on the window, and I'm just like, and I laughed at myself, and he's like, what are we, and it's like, when you think about it from a guy's perspective, that is kind of weird, right? Because like you see like the uh you see someone's house, like imagine if you go to someone's house, right? Like it's kind of like if I went to a guy's house and he had a bunch of like Star Wars memorabilia, I wouldn't be turned off by it, but maybe another girl would be like, oh my god, he's like a dork collector of Star Wars stuff, right? Like, or like video games. Like I don't mind that. I don't mind, because I grew up playing video games. Like my brother played Call of Duty, and like I loved watching what's his face, Kingdom Hearts. That was a fun, like Sora, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, then whatever. But Mario Kart, Mario Party, Diddy Kong Racing, Pokemon Stadium. What else am I missing? Star Fox. Oh my god, Star Fox. That was like, if you don't know that, or Sega Genesis. Oh my god, Sonic the we had a Sonic the Hedgehog thing on the Sega Genesis. That was so much fun. Anyways, again, I digress. But it's like if I saw a guy and he's like, oh, like, other women would think that's weird. I wouldn't. But it's the same idea of like this guy Matt Rife. He's a comedian. He's younger. And he said something about crystals, and I was like, dude, that's so me. But I don't really do them anymore. I don't really have. I think to me, I mean, maybe, I don't know, maybe because there's what was it? Was it Himalayan sea salt or not basalt, Himalayan the stuff with the cooking, the pink salt. That they have like little lamps or whatever with like, they're pink and they're like big giant rocks. That is allegedly it has positively charged ions. So again, not to go back to biology, but you have positively charged ions and negatively charged. There's ionization, and you can balance that out, like when you talk about free radicals in the body, like oxygenation, whatever. But anyways, it's supposed to balance out, like when people talk about grounding, when you take your shoes off. What's his face? There's another thing, Darren Olean with Zac Efron. Down to Earth. They talked about grounding. Like you take your shoes off and like you go into because the earth has naturally, like, it's charged. I don't know if it's negatively charged or positively charged, but that the electrical charge, the energy that comes from the earth is supposed to go up through your feet, and it's supposed to like help. That's why when people go in the sun and you sit in the beach, or like you're on the grass, you're getting like free. It's like free energy, allegedly. So yeah, the idea is that with crystals, there's a certain essence or energy that, and I mean, it is, I will be honest, like when I did yoga, there was a store in Coral Gables called the Golden Triangle, and I love that store. Like after I taught class and stuff, I would go to that store before or after, and then like I had my little Tibetan bowl, my ding with a little mallet. I don't even know if I did it right. It was just fun to have, and it was purple. And I let the kids use it because they liked making the sound. They're very, when the kids in that, what was it, industry versus inferiority, that psychosocial stage, when they want to achieve something, like very directed or goal oriented. So they were like very much at it with themselves to try to get the little bowl to make the sound, which was fun to watch. But I'd go into the store and I would get like, I was the kind of person that would have little quartz crystal bead thingies. I was one of those. I don't want to judge it. If someone like, because there's people, I'm gonna sound really condescending towards the yoga community right now, because I'm like, oh, if you're one of those, I'm not. I would like I used to believe, like, the little crystals, there's like rose quartz, clear quartz, citrine, amethyst, obsidian, onyx, all of their tiger's eye, There's a bunch that they have, and I was, like, I don't know. It was fun to believe. I think I liked them because they were pretty. Like one of them, one of them was so smooth. On the edges were so smooth. It was so pretty. It was not tourmaline. What was it? Oh my god, not aquamarine. Oh my god, what was it? Something. I can't. Agonite. Agate? No. Oh. Aconite. I meant to say, I ended up learning about a highly poisonous plant used in herbal medicine. Anyways, agate. Maybe it was a gate. I'm gonna write this down though, about this plant. Herbal medicine? That's interesting. Agonite. Agate. It was turquoise colored and it was so pretty. I don't know if I still have it though. Agate crystal. No, that's not it. That looks like a geode. If you don't know what a geode is, it's a rock formed, they have geode cakes. It has multiple layers. You know, it looks kind of like when you get an oak tree, if you slice an oak tree in half, and then you see the rings of the oak tree. Not to say geodesic, but wait, blue lace agate, pink agate. It wasn't jade. Was it jade? Anyways, I did like, turquoise. I was very much a believer, like, if you wanted to protect yourself from negative energy, you wear turquoise. If you wanted to get better clarity, intuition, you get clear quartz crystal. If you wanted to protect another from evil, onyx. There was graphite also. Graphite is good to protect against evil, allegedly. I don't know. It's fun to believe this stuff works, but like, you don't know, right? I think, in my opinion, it's the belief in the thing that there's a quote, "The belief in a thing can make it happen," by Frank Lloyd Wright. And I think it's the intention, because wherever you direct your attention goes, energy flows. So I think it was the intention, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe there is some scientific like thing going on between the crystals, and it's fun to think that, but like I mean, I don't know. I was the kind of person that was like, oh no, I want turquoise, and I want a turquoise ring, and I want this here, and I want whatever, and because that's going to protect me. I did do the little candles. Like, in the shop they had, oh my god, I miss those candles so much. I had those candles, and they were, oh my god, what was the company? I love, because I do believe that like some things are tangible, physical manifestations of energy. So like and I do believe in color theory. So like, let's say if you are lacking money, and this is not, I don't know if people call it witchcraft. I don't think it is. I think it's manifestation. But like, let's say you want to manifest more money, or you feel lack. In that spiritual community, you get like it's like a green candle, right? Green also represents healing. It's supposed to be the color of Archangel Raphael, and that's supposed to be indicative of healing. But money is green, depending, I guess, on what country you're from. So I didn't do the abundance candles because at the time I didn't have to worry about money, but I was more so focused on like friendships, fostering like positive relationships with people, dating, romance, whatever. So I got a lot of there was rose quartz because it's pink and pretty, and then I would get I wanted my mind's eye to be sharper, to have more clarity, so I got amethyst, and then I got the little crystals, not the crystals, the candles, and I would like that. Also just for protection, I think, too, to pray for other people. Light blue, I was like a very periwinkle kind of color. I got that as well. So that was one of my favorite shops to go to. And it was right across a restaurant called Graziano's, which they have the best cannolis. If you're in Miami, Florida, or Coral Gables, go to Graziano's and get the churrasco, with chimichurri, and then get cannolis, and get the ones dipped in chocolate. Oh my god, you will not regret it. Because I still am always Miami 305. Shout out to Pitbull Miami 305. Anyways, moving on. But that was kind of, that's my overview of how I got into spirituality. And yeah, exciting stuff. So for me, you know, I mean, if it works for you, you know, in the yoga community, everyone has their own niche, right? Like some people believe, like some people have mala beads and they do like the prayers with the mala beads in Sanskrit. And, you know, I have respect and reverence for everyone in whatever religion resonates with you, as long as you're not hurting people and you're not sacrificing people, you know, or doing blood sacrifices or, you know, don't, you know, slit a goat's throat or stuff like that, you know, just, I don't believe in that. You know, human life. And it's funny because you would think, you know, we sit here and we eat meat and you know, cow and bacon and yogis, by the way, they're vegan. Usually yogis are vegetarian vegan because they have respect and reverence for human life and regular life, human life and animal, you know, so they eat a lot of plant food, which I commend them because I cannot do that. I mean, I'll be honest, I haven't had that much meat lately, and I think my body needs it. But I also really can't afford it right now. I can't afford like a steak. So I've been eating a lot of pizza. And I have, for those who have been following the gain stalking journey, I have gained weight. I am now 100 pounds. But since I can't afford anything and I'm kind of broke, I eat air. Which, whatever, you know, I'm trying to make light of a not so great situation. So, you know, air is tasty unless it's tainted with something. But I am slowly but surely, hopefully I will get back to hopefully 110 pounds, if not maybe 105. I was really happy to see, like, I had a belly and I'm like, my belly. I was like, thank God. But my shoulder's killing me right now and it hurts a lot. And I hope it doesn't turn into a pulmonary embolism because that would be really shitty. So yeah, that's my journey with spirituality. I'm gonna hold this like this. So if you are someone that, you know, you've kind of been on the fence about like how that stuff works and is it woo-woo, is it weird? I think it's more so the, which actually, you know what, let's get the Dr. Google definition. Let's get Dr. Google to give us because I don't want to sit here and talk about give the wrong define spirituality. As I say, defined etymology or etiology. Spirituality is a broad human experience involving a search for meaning, purpose, and a sense of connection to something larger than oneself. It focuses on inner growth, personal values, and the sacred, and is often pursued independently of organized religion. So there's a lot of people who kind of identify more as spiritual than religious. Because religion is organized, right? This is more the relationship you have with yourself and the world around you and trying to find your inner like peace and purpose. That's why when people go to a yoga class, even though they're all together, you're still in your own little bubble. And it's funny because when I started doing yoga, I was like, oh my God, I'm going to socialize. I'm going to meet so many people and like-minded people who are interested in like being balanced and peace. Everyone's on their mat and they're like, no, it's not like that. Unless you do partner yoga or something, or you talk a little bit before class. But it says, connection and meaning. At its heart, spirituality is the art of making connections. This can mean cultivating a relationship with the divine, the universe, nature, or humanity. Let me tell you, this is why I do think AI is good. It literally broke down like a whole little synopsis. But it says, this can mean cultivating a relationship with the divine, the universe, nature, or humanity. It centers on universal questions like, where do I find personal value and how do I fit into the bigger picture? Number 2, spirituality versus religion. While the two often overlap, they are distinct concepts. Religion typically involves organized institutions, specific doctrines, and shared communal rituals. I'm going to read that again. Religion typically involves organized institutions, specific doctrines, and shared communal rituals, whereas spirituality is highly subjective and personal. It centers on individual experience and inward exploration rather than adherence to a specific set of dogmas. The core themes of spiritual journey or lifestyle often revolves around specific human values and practices such as exploration, seeking truths about the nature of consciousness, like the esoteric, the soul and existence, virtues, practicing compassion, altruism, love, and forgiveness. So you know what? I think I'm more spiritual than religious. I just realized this. Maybe I should put spiritual instead of religious. I don't know. I thought I was Christian. I don't know. I do believe in Christ, but it says mindfulness, grounding oneself in the present moment through practices like meditation, yoga, or spending time in quiet reflection. I tried to do a little bit of meditation earlier, and it does help. Let me tell you, it really does. The Reddit version. How would you personally define spirituality? What does it mean for you? I believe everyone has a different perspective on what spirituality actually means and looks like. Spirituality is what you make it. To me, it's simply living this life. I see spirituality in everything. It's like a layer of magic you add to ordinary life. Spirituality is an umbrella term, and within it are a wide range of beliefs and practices that can personally help someone seek purpose in life and to connect to something beyond oneself, like something greater. I do believe that. Spirit is the animation, motivation, and drive of our beings. Soul. I'm curious to know how to describe the way spirit presents itself to you in your life. How can you identify it when living in the physical world, if you don't mind answering? Someone says, the person's name is Think Before You Act. Maybe that's relevant for someone. That's what it says. I'll answer based on two meanings of the word spirit. I think by spirit you mean higher divine intelligence. The version of spirit I was speaking about is related but distinctly different. The version of spirit I was speaking about is the motivation, the drive, and a vision. The source is what people usually mean when they think of higher divine intelligence, aka spirit. Anyways, interesting. I don't know. I think that's interesting to me, this whole thing. So, again, that's just my 2 cents on like how I got into spirituality, and perhaps it's everyone's experience with it is different, you know, for each person. This is so bright. Oh my God. Everyone's experience is different for one another, but that's just kind of how I got into it. So, you know, hopefully, you know, everyone's, I would say alarm clock. I don't know if it's an alarm clock, but there's a moment in everyone's life where I think, you know, like spiritual alarm clock goes off, where you realize you're like, there's more to life than this, you know, and you, what is spirituality in your own words? Yeah, so everyone's timing is different when it comes to that. So hopefully, you know, if you haven't experienced that, maybe it could happen when someone's 60, when you're 50, but it happens on its own time, but it is quite interesting. So I hope, you know, I hope that my experience or my words can give you some food for thought. And it's all subjective, you know, but that is my journey. And I wouldn't think, you know, with gang stalking, just to reference that, and you know, some people say, oh, I'm being gang stalked because I'm a starseed, and you know, I have clairvoyant abilities, or you know, my soul comes from another star system, or telepathy. People say telekinesis, precognitive, whatever. I don't know. I mean, maybe. That's a little far out, though. And because, I mean, if you look at it, there's Tyler Henry. He talks to people. He talks to people who have, you know, passed on. There's, who else? Teresa Caputo. Oh my God, Teresa Caputo. I watched the Long Island Medium. I watched her show religiously. Like, many, many times. This is too bright. I watched her show many, many times. Now it gets too dark, and then I'm like, no. Teresa Caputo. Who else did I watch? I watched her show a lot. I love her show. I used to watch her show a lot. I cried a lot too, because the stories were very touching. And her daughter Victoria, and then her son. You know, so yeah, I don't know if that's gang stalking happens because people are spiritual. I don't think so. I don't know. Who knows? There's a lot of reasons for things, but some things were, you know, some things were meant to know, and some things were not meant to know. So yeah, hopefully, I will say this, you know, spirituality helps give you a better understanding of yourself as a person and where you fit into the, you know, the grand scheme of, you know, the world that is the world and society. So I hope if you feel like you're someone that's confused at all, I will say that it did help me figure things out, you know, in my life. It gave meaning and purpose to certain things, and I didn't feel so alone in terms of when I was alone in life, because I was kind of a weird kid. Not weird, just I wasn't super social, and I liked to be by myself, and I could feel things, you know, energy, emotions, thoughts, and that could make life a little hard. So, you know, and fitting in and whatnot. Yeah. So I hope, again, maybe that gives some people clarity, and maybe that'll help someone start their journey. But I can't really say maybe that's the reason why the targeting, gang stalking. I don't think that's it. I think it's other stuff. So yeah. So that's it. And ¿qué más? And like Audrey Hepburn said, when that quote, they said things feel impossible and nothing is impossible, because even the word impossible has the word possible in it. And this is coming from a girl who feels like I could be possibly being almost killed and like assassinated. My shirt keeps going up, and I'm like, I needs to be level. Who could be possibly almost being assassinated. I know that sounds crazy, but you never know, you know. I don't know why someone would want me gone or dead. I didn't do anything wrong. I do everything. I try to do everything right. I pray for people that pray against me. When I had money, I tried to donate it to people that needed it, because when people have things less than you, right, you give. If you happen to be someone that's very rich and you're watching my video, think about the closest charity to you, or think about someone that you know is homeless that you see on the street. And I know some people are scam artists. I get that. Like, there's people who pretend they're homeless and then they're not. I get that, you know, and they want pity. But there are people who are legitimately homeless, and they didn't deserve that. And if you're like a gazillionaire, share that with someone, you know. Or not even share it, put it towards a good cause. I was taking a survey recently, and they're like, do you agree with this or do you agree with that? And they're like, do you think the billionaire should have this or the blah, blah? I'm like, yeah, people, if you make enough money and you make like $1 you can spare, like, you know, I guarantee you J-Lo is probably so rich that, like, you know, for me, I go on Stitch Fix and I'm like, I can't spend $110 on a dress, or, you know, I can't spend $50 on a shirt. $50 is like walking to Marshall's. You know, $30 for a shirt, I'm like, that's too much for me. I can't spend full price $40 on a shirt on Stitch Fix. Bro, that's like $2. That's like dollar store to J-Lo and Kim Kardashian. They'll be like, oh, $30. That is so funny. Not that they have British accents, but anyways, my point is that everyone's journey is different with that, and I will say I do believe that there is an afterlife. I believe in the spiritual world, you know, spirits and whatnot, and I do think that certain people are gifted enough to be able to communicate with that and get insight from that. And that is my qualm and my conundrum, because sometimes, you know, when I do cards and stuff, I'm like, something's telling me and communicating with me about something, but then in the physical world I'm receiving this information, but then in spiritual world I'm receiving another can of worms or information. So I don't know, you know. And there's that quote, energy doesn't lie, people do. So I'm like, how do I go about this, you know? I don't know. I try to stay in my lane. I don't look into government affairs or, you know, stuff like that. That's not my business. But I will say that, like, I do feel like I was slighted in my situation, and I didn't deserve that, and I lost my career. I lost everything except my soul and my sanity. Thank God I didn't lose my soul or my sanity, and my kindness. I pride myself on. There's a song, so it's funny because I'm very like you. If you look at me, you're like, oh, she's such a good girl. She's like, but no, I listen to, like, I'll get into like ratchet hip hop, and like there's a song. There's the EDM artist Diplo, who, like, in his heyday, he did like really cool beats. I also used to listen to Major Lazer as well. I listen to a bunch of different people. Tiesto, Hardwell, Audion. Recently learned about an artist named Enzo. It's really good. But anyways, Diplo, he has a song called Revolution, but with Faustix. I learned about this song years ago. I used to play it in my Burn Boot Camp fitness classes. It's a good song. On the cover, there's a picture of like a bunch of women with their butts in the air twerking, and then there's like a fist coming out through the thing. And then, so anyways, the song... there's a lyric that says, don't let them steal your light, don't let them break your stride, there's light on the other side, you'll see all the rainbows, something, you'll make it out alive. And so, what was it? Don't let them steal your light, don't let them break your stride. And I remember writing that down on a post-it when I was living in Vermont, and I put it like right smack dab on my mirror of my bathroom, because I told myself, I pride myself on being like sunshine, you know. I try to, because there's so much divisiveness in the world that if you can choose to be kind to people and nice, I'd rather do that than be like a bitch. There's so many bitches. I've dealt with so many bitches, like in jobs, and it's so annoying. And they're just like, their energy is so draining. And I'm like, bro, please, like, because that's the thing, when you work as a child specialist or a nurse, anybody that works in healthcare and you've been in an ICU and you've seen people, their health deteriorating and decompensating, nothing, when people are like, oh, my nail broke, and like, it's like, yeah, and then there's a kid dying over there, like, you know, there's a mom fighting, you know, cancer, and, you know, for her children, you know, so, like, suck it up. Go to the nail tech and just have them fix your finger, you know. like I can't, you know. I've seen parents cry over their babies, their newborn babies, who get hooked up to machines to filter their blood at the bedside. These horrible looking, monstrous machines for babies that are supposed to be out and being held and played with and laughing and smiling, and you have babies being sedated with fentanyl and Vicodin, or like, you know, midazolam and whatnot. And it's just, I hate when people get so freaking ignorant and they're like, life is so hard. I'm like, bitch, you haven't seen a fucking ICU. So anyways, but so that's why I try to pride myself on being kind, I guess, or doing the right thing, because it feels better. And when you have a bad attitude, and it's sucky. No one wants to be around someone that's a negative Nancy or pessimistic. So, you know, I don't, I don't know what's going to come up about, you know, with my life and, you know, where I'm going to go from. I really, you know, I didn't want to, I asked, I go, God, what do you want me to do? Do I, you know, because there's this idea that where you are is where you're exactly meant to be. But I feel like I was dropped off in the freaking lion's den, you know, like I did, you know, like at least like when I was in Vermont, I didn't have like the best time, but it was so different. It's vastly different from everywhere. And here it's like, it's just different, you know. And I don't know what I did to deserve that. I did everything right in my life. I follow the rules. I pay my taxes. I try to pay my bills on time. Even while being broke. You know, like I'm avidly doing surveys trying to like, you know, I don't steal. In the words of, what's the song? Tim McGraw, always stay humble and kind. You know, I don't steal, I don't cheat, I don't lie. So I don't know. I don't, you know, why is it that the people who break the law or hurt other people and abuse people, they get away with it, and the people who do the right thing get the brunt of it? Or you get chastised for being a speaker, for speaking out about it. And all you wanted was safety, and all you wanted was clarity and closure and kindness. And then you get met with contempt and greed and envy and sabotage and near-death experiences. And I feel grateful that I must have some sort of supernatural divine favor over my life, because I'm telling you, like, the past 6 months have been so frightening. Because I feel like someone wants to murder me. I feel like someone's trying to kill me. I know that sounds crazy to believe, but I'm not kidding. I try to be a force of good and be light in the world, and I'm being met with the opposite. So I go, what do you want me to do, God? Like, what do you want me to do? Because I don't feel like I'm in the right place, I'll be honest. Like, I just don't. This is not... I feel like no matter what I say or do, someone's going to come out and they're going to be like, ha, and they're going to use scary things on me to try to hurt me. And I'm like, that's not fair to me. Respectfully. So, if anyone, again, if you have any insight or wisdom, and if you're not targeted, you know, you can share too as well, but, you know, please, if you know, don't fake being targeted, to just email me. Like, I'm not going to listen if you do that, and I'll end up knowing whether, you know, you are or not. I'm a very good judge of character. And also I have cards, and I can call you people out in your bluff. Kindly, you know. And I don't lie, I don't cheat, I don't steal, I don't manipulate. That's not my thing. So, see, this is what I mean. Shuffle the deck, pause the deck, gift. This is what I see all the time come out in my readings. Gift, this, money, great fortune, and a house. Or some sort of accommodations. And then just change. Journey. It's amazing how life... I mean, whatever. Some female lady. Official person. Da-da-da, dee-dee-dee, da-da-da. So yeah, I don't know. I can't, and I'm not going to go searching for something, but I will say what comes out in the readings energy-wise is different from what people tell me that are close to me. Oh, there's nothing, there's whatever. And I'm like, well, why is it the opposite? If you happen to be one of the good ones, one of the honest, more police people, if happen, I don't know. I put hashtags law and order, hashtag law enforcement, hashtag, and I don't mean the shows of like The Rookie and Blue Blood or NCIS, whatever. I mean like, you know, real people, law enforcement people. Ay, carajo, por Dios. So, yeah, see it. So that's my story, kind of ish. I'm sure there's more to it. Trying trying to think if there's any like mentors that I've had along the way. My yoga teachers, they were really Light Trail Yoga. That's where I got trained for yoga. They're really wonderful. Another lady named Lourdes Sanchez. She's another good teacher. She taught me Yin Yoga. And funny enough, well, he wasn't a mentor. The person that this all started with, that but he wasn't. I mean, I've learned from yoga from a lot of different people. So yeah. Yes, they are. So I hope. Oh my god, my shirt. I hope my words. Girl, the strip show. Anyways, I hope my words help somebody. And for me, talking about things and experience helps. Because I couldn't put my mind to rest, and it's been really hard, and I have these decisions to make. And for me, and that's why it's so funny with gang stalking. You know how they like, oh, we try to frame you with like mental illness and shit, right? They're like, oh, because you have delusions and you're schizophrenic and you're bipolar. And I'm like, okay, sure thing, folks. Whatever helps you sleep at night. Because bipolar disorder, you have fluctuations in mood, very erratic, irritable. I will say I can get irritable or easily agitated, but that's usually because I'm allergic to narcissists and I'm allergic to narcissism. So, but I do pros and cons lists for everything. Like literally I made a pros and cons. Do I stay in Chicago? Do I leave? And, I want to follow the rules and abide by the law, but I also don't want to lose my life or get killed. So, yeah. And I don't want to be feeling like I'm in a room or a jail cell 24/7, or feel like I'm being trafficked, because I sincerely, honestly do feel like I've almost been kidnapped and stuff. Because when I was like in Virginia and Philadelphia, like I would get in an Uber car and a Lyft, and I kid you not, like I felt very nauseous and I would sense a weird gas and I felt like I was gonna fade away. So I'd open I'd smell my hand sanitizer, because that helps. When I worked in the ER, I learned that when we had parents come in who were like not used to seeing blood or felt like they were gonna faint or go into syncope, that we would give them an alcohol swab and they'd smell it, and then it looks like cocaine. They'd smell it and then they'd be revived, because something within the brain, the olfactory system, it like ignites, like it awakens you or whatever. So like that, I did that for myself and I was able to be revived whenever I felt, the tips of the trade, the insider scoop. Working in a hospital and learning medicine is a really good thing. I didn't realize that later on it would help me out a lot. So, any Hoosiers? Is it Hoosiers or Hoosiers? Yeah. But I think that's where I mentioned about impulsivity, because when they say, because literally in gang stalking, they will try to like get you institutionalized, get you homeless, sick, and all this stupid crap. And that's not true, whatever. And I'm like, but I make lists of everything and I think through my decisions. And I don't engage in sexually risky behavior. I literally vet every single man. Like, I'll talk to someone, at length, and I'll say, hey, do you do this? Is this like this? Do you believe in it? Like, I'm not that like careless. So it's just frustrating when people try to pin a diagnosis on you that's not true, which none of the doctors or anything, thank goodness, have done. I hope not. Maybe they did behind my back. I don't know. Some doctors were. That's also important too. If you are someone of faith or you are spiritual, try to find someone who does kind of align with that doctrine. Because what I've noticed is that if you get someone more clinical and like sterile, they're gonna like. I kid you not. I'm not kidding. I had one lady when I was back in Indiana. Mind you, I really couldn't afford it, so it was probably for the best, but like I logged on and I was so excited to have this meeting because I was like, oh my God, I'm gonna get help, whatever. And, to kind of go through the trauma and help me restructure my brain to feel safe, right? Because I still don't feel safe because trauma exists in the body and it sits in the body. And I needed professional guidance for that. And then she, like literally, I kid you not, like she was reading off of her computer a diagnosis. She's like, are you sure you don't have whatever? Because over here it said like, no, she's like, because I'm like, are you reading off of, I'm like, I called her out. I was like, are you reading off of a computer? And she's like, and she was drinking her soda. She was like, I'm like, I was like, thank you, lady, but we're not gonna, you know. And then I asked for a refund, and thank God they refunded me, because that was just deplorable. I was like, I was so taken aback by that. I was just like, no. Because they try to get a diagnosis on you that's not true, so that way they can discredit, you know, you as a person. And so be mindful. Always be mindful of your emotions, because they will try to provoke you to act out overtly. Be mindful of your actions and your words and who you associate with and hang around with, because that all has a direct influence on you as a person. You know, so yeah. And anything else I wish to share? Maybe if you have something with your journey about how you got into spirituality, because I like listening to other people's, you know, experiences, because I believe that the more you communicate with someone and you learn about them, you shape your worldview to be more inclusive, I guess is the word. That's the right word. Right? And respectful, I guess, you know, or sensitive to other, you know, people. So hope that helps somebody. And it's really late. It's 2:55 in the morning. I did not eat anything for dinner, and I don't know how I'm going to go about this. And I can't really afford anything either. So, which is not good considering, you know, I lost weight and all that, but hopefully will, you know, continue to slowly but surely gain it back. And hopefully I will be protected through this situation, and I don't know how it turned into this. And yeah, any help is appreciated. And I don't mean financial, I just mean in general, like insight. If you have insight, everyone's experience is different with this whole targeting thing, but you'll know, like, it's, you know, like when someone's targeted, especially when they're like, they take pictures of the cars and they're like, oh, this is the video, this, then I'm like, yeah, they're going through it. When someone doesn't talk about it as much, that's how you know you're like, you know, because we have, you know, as targeted people, you have this like need to get your story out, and you have this need for like justice, and like you want the truth. So like you're willing to like risk your life over that, you know, because it gets to the point where it's just every day someone is, you know, trying to throw you off your path, or, you know, make you succumb to do things that are, you know, against your better judgment, your morals or laurels. And yeah. So anything else I wish to share? I think that's it. And you know, everyone's journey is different. So if you're not spiritual and you're more religious and you're like, I don't believe in that woo-woo shit, you know, then, you know, you do you. As long as you're a good person and you're kind, you treat people with respect, that's all that matters. All that matters. You know, what's the thing, my rights end where yours begin, and we all have a line of demarcation. You stay on that side, I stay on this side. And, you know, maybe we can, which reminds me, there's a scene in Walk to Remember where like Landon and Jamie, she says, I want to be at two places at once, and he takes her to like this border thing, and then he's like, now you're in two places. No, it's so cute. Anyways, maybe that movie's relevant to someone, who knows. I am hoping that I can find reprieve, and I hope that that vision I saw in my head of like, I don't know, I had a desk and I was a writer, but this wasn't now, this was like 5 or 6, 7 years from now, maybe, or 3, or maybe earlier, I don't know. It just doesn't feel like now, it felt like future tense. I don't know if it was here in America, so I don't know how that works out. But because I don't have the money or the funds to be able to shout out to, oh, speaking of which, shout out, I don't know what to do on this channel. I am trying to, there's a trip that you could win to go to Italy. I should probably be focused more on the contest of like the modeling thing, because I'm not really into modeling. It came across my IG feed, and it was to, you get to go to Italy, and I don't even know if gang stalking would happen. I mean, actually I do. I think it would probably happen in Italy, but I've, you know, even if I didn't eat the food, it would just be pretty to just walk the Amalfi Coast and go to Positano and go to like the museums, because that doesn't require food. And I love museums. I love artwork. You know, one day I hope to be able to go to the Louvre, but you never know. What was it? Que sera, sera, what will be, will be. So, yeah, that's that. And feel free to, I do have my email on my page. But I would say if you go to, do I have the Instagram thing? I think I do. But I would love to go to Italy and you win a cash prize and you get to donate to a charity of your choice. I think I chose one for the animals, for dogs or something, for pet rescue, like dog rescue. So, yeah, that's what I would maybe do. There's another contest too, you can go somewhere else, but, and I don't really consider myself like a Maxim thing, but I did take pictures though, like last year, kind of more, not risque, more, I guess, provocative. But they, I'm trying to, nothing like too, because they don't do nudity and stuff, so like it was very, you know, like I have to do things that are classy and tasteful, so, but if you can vote and you can, so I can go, I don't know how I'm going to get there, because I think they pay by plane, so, we shall see. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. So, oh, that's scary. So I have a deck. I talk about spirituality. I do this on the side where I put cards with different medical things on them, and I put like yes, no, damage, this, that, and fun stuff. What just came out, and it says terrorist murder plot. Exciting times, right? I mean, when you think about it, when you gang stalk someone, you target them. That is like terroristic, because when you're terrifying someone, and it's a terrorist murder plot. So that's a little scary. Un poquito scary. Why I have scary people trying to terrorize me is beyond me. Oh, look at this terrorist murder plot. Yes. Mercury, arsenic, thallium, cadmium, lead, nickel, cyanide, aluminum. So I am correct in my musings. Inflammation. But then it says maybe yes, it could be a joke. That's weird. But that's not a funny joke. Impaired came out sideways. That's the fun part when you are psychic and you have cards and stuff and you can figure shit out. Oh, I'm right. I'm on the right track. That's nice. Can you imagine if if I'm right about everything I ascertained? Mercury, arsenic, thallium, cadmium, lead, nickel, cyanide. But then it says, that's weird, and it says not murder plot. I don't know. I'm not gonna, to me, if you put harm in someone's body, you injure them, that's not done with good intent. So, if you know what's going on, please tell the people to stop. That'd be very nice so I can live a happy, normal life. You know, neurotoxins, Botox, venom, mercury. That's awesome. So yeah. Not to scare people, just I shouldn't be going through this shit. It's very mean, it's very evil. So I'm gonna leave it at that. And on another note, you know, if you are someone, I don't have a course on, like, I don't read tarot. I use that hashtag for my videos though, for the spiritual readings, because it just has the word psychic in it, and I'm like, okay, you know, maybe that'll get a few more people to gravitate towards it, so they can listen to it, so it'll help them, give them, you know, intuitive insight and wisdom. Yeah, if you do want a reading or anything like that, I'd be more than happy to do it. I think I put like $10 for 30 minutes and then $20 for an hour. And then I put like $5 for first time reading and then buy one, get one free. BOGO! I'm not a bad salesperson. When I did work in sales, I was very big on, what I noticed the most successful was like when you don't push people and you just treat them as people. Because sales is the business of people, right? Like, and figuring out what their wants and needs are. So like, that's how I went about it. you know, so trying to just, you know, figure out ways to be creative and to, you know, promote that. I don't know if it's going to work. It might fail and on its face, but, you know, that, and maybe I'll do some maybe child life work, consultative work on the side, you know, virtually. I'm trying to explore different avenues where I can make some money. Some money, honey. Because I need that more than ever right now. And I wish I was more selfish, because if me not being selfish and like being like, oh no, no, I need to be more selfish at this point, but not like in a bitchy, rude way, just like I need to be, you know, not a shark, not like baby shark, but like a little bit more, you know, aggressive, I guess, about it. So, but, and if also too, if anyone has me for jobs, and yes, I have thought about doing Uber Eats and DoorDash and stuff, but I don't have a car, I don't have a bike. Yeah, there's no really anywhere I can park a car here anyways, so, anything else? But I did consider that at one point, to make some money, because you'll be your own boss essentially, and I think it'd be fun to go to different places, but then people maybe not tip you. Driving people around, I was kind of skeptical, because someone sits behind you, and it's kind of scary, because you're like, you don't know who. You can look in the rearview mirror and you have a dash cam, but it's still, you know, nerve-wracking to me. So I'm trying. I'm even applying to part-time jobs, and so, but to be my own boss would be really nice. At one point, I did want to actually like open a bistro or a bakery one day, you know, like a cupcake shop, a bake shop. So, yeah. So anything else? That's it. Hope for the best, prepare for the worst. And prayers are much appreciated. God bless.